Well, today we are going to just kind of fly around. We've got a little bit of weather here at Tracy today and kind of talk about flying in the bumps and the turbulence. You see a lot of videos on YouTube that everything is smooth and nobody gets bounced around, and not all flights are like that. So we're going to go ahead and get all the battery packs on the plane, get our microphone cable here tucked in our pocket. But it'd be nice if every flight could be smooth, but they're not all smooth. Recording here. Ow. Move your head before you decide to stand up from underneath the elevator. So again, as I've said, you know, not every flight is smooth as butter. Anyway, as we are doing this, getting the hangar closed up, you know, I've been on quite a few flights, got over 1,000 hours now logged, IFR, and early on in my training, it's like I just hated flying in the bumps, and ended up having my instrument instructor work with me on that, and we ended up going in my 172 that I had at the time, and ended up going up into the foothills where we're going to go now, and he ended up having me fly the plane with just rudder pedals. No aileron input or anything, just rudder pedals and elevator to be able to control it. And, you know, we've got into, you know, a few bumps up through the hills and everything. I've gotten into some stuff where I've got bounced around pretty good. But one of the things in flying that kind of goes with the territory, as even the commercial airliners find to see, is that you're never going to have all your flights be so that they are bump free, so to speak. Sorry about the random video here, but it's just one of those things that hopefully what we'll go see today and kind of feel. Unfortunately, the rock steady in these cameras with the way that they do the motion and kind of clamp that down, you really don't get the full effect of seeing what it is like when you do get into the bumps, because they have all of the motion in these things kind of just got it so that it just, you know, videos everything really smooth. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get this fired up. We had just filled up the tanks full of fuel, and it's about 1:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday, and we're going to go ahead and get this going. So we'll leave this mic on until I can get the plane fired up and the headset on, and then hopefully everything will come through the headset as it's supposed to. Clear. pulled up here.
Tracy traffic 2130, turning left base with 30. Tracy traffic.
So databases in the Avidines are all updated, and we're good. So let's go ahead and listen to the ATIS.
Automated weather observation 21210.
So we had a little bit of weather come through, low pressure system.
0 at 7
it's
knots.
building back up.
Gust 15 knots. Visibility
little
more
windy.
than 10.
Bottom of the clouds are flat.
Traffic system 936 until left downwind 30.
A little bit bumpy up to the bottom of the clouds, and then smooth.
Turning final 430. Tracy traffic 2130.
1 inches.
Pretty much above those clouds is kind of what we have. Then we'll go down to the end of the runway into our run-up. Landing lights are on, nav beacon, fuses, everything are all good. Trim is set for takeoff. Fuel is on both. Oil pressure's up, temperature's coming up. And by the time we get down to the end here, we should be warm enough. And we'll go ahead and put this into run-up checklist. Brakes are good. Fuel is already set on both. Trim has already been set for takeoff. We can do flight controls now. So everything feels good. No binding. One up, one down. One up, one down. Rudder's good. Instruments. So we are tracking about a 122 and right about a 119 on the compass. So we're within. Mixture is not set for best power yet. Camera is in and locked. As soon as we get warmed up a little bit more here, we'll do a run-up.
Tracy traffic 2170, left cross with 30. Tracy traffic.
You know, and a lot of times the wind just off the hills and things can, cause some turbulence and some bumps and rotors and all sorts of fun little waves coming over. Out here in the valley in California, in the summertime, we get a lot of turbulence from the heat and then also the wind coming over the hills and everything as well. So sometimes it's pretty fun. The other day, yesterday in fact, we had gusts up to about 40 miles an hour and windier than the son of a gun, and needless to say, nobody was really flying yesterday. We also recently had the prop balance down to a 0.01 on the inclinometer, and so kind of feels like we got an electric engine, which is, I know it's not, but it is pretty stinking smooth. You just don't feel a whole lot of vibration in the rudder pedals or on the instrument panel when you put your hand up there. It's pretty stinking remarkable, and if you have not had that done, highly recommend it. You will be amazed on what doing a balancing can do on your propeller, flywheel, moving parts, all that fun stuff. So now we've got everything dialed in, about a 4 nautical mile range on the Avidine, and got all that set. Temperatures are looking good. 4 flights on here.
Tracy traffic, 220 Romeo Papa, 2.5 miles from
that.
26. About
And everything is set on the G5s. So everything's looking good. Still got another one coming in on final. A little busy day here at the airport. And then we've got this camera is watching out front.
Traffic 2130, clear 30, taxi.
That one off to the side. We've got one out there on the wing. One out there on that wing. And then one on the tail. So we'll go ahead and get this going. Tracy traffic, Skyhawk 91. Mike is taking 30, doing a downwind departure, Tracy traffic.
Tracy traffic, Skyhawk 254 is upwind runway 30, left coast traffic, Tracy.
Tracy traffic, but then now overhead midfield 1600, was I left downwind 30, Tracy.
heading bug here as we get on the runway for 300. Here we go. Tracy traffic, Skype 91 mics on the roll, 30. They're going to be doing a downwind departure off of 30, Tracy.
Tracy traffic bonanza, Romeo Papa, turning left downwind network, beaming to 30 full stop, Tracy.
Two traffic, Skype 524 is left crosswind on the 20, Tracy.
Turn down the heat a little bit. Temperatures are all coming up well.
Traffic, Skype 524 is left downwind on the 20, Tracy.
Tracy traffic bonanza 220, Romeo Papa, in the left downwind, about ready to turn left base 30, Tracy.
Tracy traffic, Skype 91 mic, left crosswind off of 30, Tracy. So even as we're, taking off here, we've got some wind coming in, 15 knots coming down the runway, 30. But you can feel it as we gain altitude, climbing at about 700 feet a minute. Tracy traffic, Skyhawk 91 mic, going into the downwind, 30, Tracy. A little bit of lift there. The other day I was up and
Traffic, 10 o'clock, 1 mile, 550
ended up
Tracy traffic 6014 November, left downwind 17 University.
Traffic, Skype 524 is left base on the 20, Tracy.
doing a little bit of flying around and had the autopilot on. And it kicked off a couple of times.
We'll take runway 30 after 19 or 1 mic.
We're going to be departing the area, so just that Cessna that's getting ready to turn final is all you have to worry about. 9-1 Mike. I think we just lost a camera. Can't believe that. Cameras at times can just be an absolute pain in the butt. But we're getting knocked around pretty good.
Tracy traffic 217, taking runway 30.
Alright, we'll take it out of the level control here. This one's still on. That's good. But anyway, we're up at about 1,400 feet here. That's, pretty decent wind going on, but we're just going to go up into the hills here. Or around the hills, where it does, I've been over this, heading over to Monterey and things, and it's gotten pretty stinking bumpy. And when you do, even in the flat areas, though, on a day like today, where we've got,
Thank you for the help.
the possibility for turbulence and low-level wind shear and things like that, it can be bumpy out where it's flat through the Central Valley, let alone through the hills, as well. So we get a little burbles of things, depending on the wind speed of, how fast things come over the top of the hills and things like that. But, the wind, when it hits, will go up and create an updraft on one side. When it comes down on the other side, it can rotor over and create turbulence as well. Looks like there might have even been a little bit of snow out there with the temperatures like they've been. I can see a little bit of white up there over 1. And we're going to go ahead and change over to NorCal approach just to listen to ATC.
Hello, again approach, Caravan 945 Bravos with you off Skydive California, 1,800
But I don't know if you can, see it in these cameras. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. That it's not super bumpy. It may not get super bumpy until we get over the crest up here. But we're at 2,000 feet now and climbing. And if it gets too bumpy and I'm not happy, then we turn around and go back. But now we're, kind of in the thick of it here. And, and one of the things that we've got with the G5 that we've got programmed in is there's a little flag for our turbulent air penetration speed, where we can slow the plane down and ride the A, is what we've got programmed in there.
8 kilo deltas, what's it, 3.5, climbing 6,000, runway heading.
So we're at 2,800 feet now. And before, from flying IFR and some of the other trips and things that we've done, I just hated flying in the bumps, and the thing is that, you just got to get used to it, I did a video where I flew up to Truckee, and it was smooth all the way up and got up around the Squaw Valley VOR and had a couple of big drops where stuff came up out of the back seat, and that's in one of my earlier videos, and it just, I wouldn't say that I was petrified, and scared, where I'm going to crap my pants or anything, but that was probably one of the biggest bumps that I had experienced in my flying time, period. And, I just wasn't prepared for it, that it just kind of caught me off guard. And I think I had one more of those, and it was just like, oh, geez, why did I go flying today kind of deal. And, I didn't fall out of the sky and kept airspeed up and didn't go upside down or anything. But it was just one of those days where it was not fun, just not fun. And, I even have those, from time to time now where, you get into it and it's just like, oh gosh, why did I go flying today, But, in talking to other pilots at the airport, and, they just tell me to grow some. And, some of these guys have been flying much longer and have much longer hours, than I do, and fly different planes, I went low wing, and, we went over the top of the hill there, and, got some pretty good bumps. But, it's just all your, kind of your comfort level. If you're not comfortable with it, go out with an instructor. There we got a little bit of lift. Go out with an instructor and, get comfortable flying, mountain flying or canyon flying or just, flying in the bumps, period.
A little more tower stuff.
You can get into some areas, like these hills and stuff where, it's just absolutely gorgeous, but when, you're on a day like today and, getting slammed here and there, it's just, when we're right at the top of the ridges too, and, sometimes if, it just takes all of the joy and the fun out of, out of your flight, so to speak. And, you're able to see things that, a lot of people are never going to ever see in their entire lifetime, as well. So, I look at it as like, well, just get out and enjoy it. Yes, it can be, a little bit of a, low, butt pucker moment and things like that. We've had guys at the airport, say, where they've flown up, by Shasta and some of the other areas, and there's another good one, have got into stuff where it's just, flipped them, so to speak, and they ended up having enough, altitude and everything that, they were able to, right themselves. We're right in a good area right now where, we're getting some pretty good bumps and things, and, but I'm not having to do anything drastic, to control the plane. Would I rather it be all smooth? Well, heck yeah. Who wouldn't? But, the thing is that, depending on where the weather patterns are and where you're flying through and how fast you're going, it's one of those that it's not going to last a long time unless you're just into a low pressure area that, you're not above the clouds and below them like we are today, where, you can just visually tell that it's like, hey, there's something going on,
No, I'd like to do a miss and then come around.
Everything that I've found so far and flying on days where the bottom of the clouds are flat like this, it's been bumpy. There's another good little updraft. And I've got a hand on the throttle. We are controlling it so that, updrafts and downdrafts. We're putzing along here at about 2,400 RPM, and just not blowing through the area. But we're coming back out of the hills again and heading back down towards Highway 5.
320, maintain 2,000 until established. Localizer cleared, ILS 29 Red Bridge.
Another good little updraft. And you can hear it in the motor, the propeller.
1 Zulu Pop, I didn't catch your read back. Heading 320 to join and 2,000 till established. You're cleared at ILS 29 Red Bridge. Heading 320 to join and clear for the ILS 29 right approach, 2,000 till established. 1 Zulu Papa.
I have been in some stuff heading over these same hills where, I don't know, probably 500-600 feet AGL above them. Heading over to Monterey one day that I was fighting it pretty good. And, my own fault. I should have climbed up higher and gotten over the top of it where, above the ridge lines and things and just out of it, and then would have been into, just basically the wind at that point. And the same thing when I flew up to the Truckee up over the top of Squaw Valley. Again, my fault, should have been higher, and probably wouldn't have got slammed like that going into Truckee. But, like I said earlier, it's like, would I rather have smooth air all the time so I can enjoy the flight and leave the autopilot on and, look for traffic and, look out the window and enjoy the scenery and things like that? Sure would. But that's not always going to be the case.
514 North Top Road, stock now, Senator 3010.
So we made it all the way down through the hills, and we're down by Patterson now. And I'm going to switch back over to Tracy Municipal and head back up. But, I hope the cameras kind of, would show or do show, just some of the bumps that are involved. Whether, like I did with my instructor, he had me sit on my hands and wouldn't let me touch the control yoke at all. In fact, one of the things that we did was it was just power and rudders to be able to control it. And we flew up through the hills, just based on power and rudder. And I just, sat on my hands and, wouldn't let me touch the control yoke. So, good experience. Even with it as it is now and windy, it's like I can end up, there we got a little bit of a push from the side, but I can end up, taking that where we're starting to roll left, and I put in a little bit of right rudder And, same thing for the other direction, and I can control that with my feet, just on the rudder alone without having to do anything with any aileron input at all as well. And then so we're not climbing, we just pull back the power a little bit and, play with the power and play with the rudder pedals. But this is the second 172 that I've had. And, if you own a plane, it's one of those things that's take it out and, get to know the plane, get to know how it feels, how it flies, do stalls, play with the different air speeds and different settings as far as power, and knowing what 2,000 RPM will do on an approach, or 1,700 RPM, or whatever, so that you really do get to know and understand what the different power settings are doing and the control of the plane, so that if anything would ever happen, you really need to understand what's going on as far as updrafts, downdrafts, getting caught in a huge downdraft or something, that you've got the ability and the understanding of what everything is doing on the plane. I mean, we do have some individuals on our airfield that that's all they do is fly their plane, but they don't really understand and get behind the mechanics of how the plane is controlled, what the control yokes do, what they're connected to, about the engine and what that's doing, and throttle settings and mixture settings, and it's just, and I just sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm like, come on, catch a clue on what you're doing here. I mean, you're flying a piece of machinery, and a lot of people do that with cars, I know, but it's like, an airplane will ruin your day a whole lot quicker than a car will going sideways. So, my 2 cents. So we'll get, that was a fun one. We'll get back on the other side of Highway 5 here. So we can come in on a 45. Tracy traffic, Skyhawk 91 Mike is up against the hills and over the power lines. Going to be entering the 45 for left traffic 30 Tracy.
Traffic, 11 o'clock, 1 mile, 400 feet below.
Tracy traffic, Skyhawk 91 Mike's on the 45 now. Got the downwind traffic in sight, and we're going to be following them. Tracy traffic. Tracy traffic, Skyhawk 91 Mike is turning left base number 2. Tracy traffic.
Tracy traffic, Skyhawk Bay Flight 14, final 30.
I'll get us slowed down so we can get some flaps out, so we'll pull the power back to about 1,700 RPM and trim the nose up a little bit. Tracy traffic, Skyhawk 91 Mike is final number 2. Tracy traffic, this will be a full stop. All right, let's get 20 degrees
1 mile,
where the flaps
final
out.
runway 30.
And there we go. And we'll retrim. Landing lights on steady.
University traffic, Cessna
Slow her down a little bit more.
7 miles south, inbound for landing. University.
Got good altitude. We got 2 whites. We'll go 30 on the flaps.
Tracy traffic, Skyhawk Bay Flight 14, upwind 30 left close traffic, Tracy.
Floaty, 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 floaty. Boop. We did it. Flaps are up. Slowing down. Mixture out. Carb heat in. Tracy traffic, Skyhawk 91 Mike is clearing 30, going to the south hangars, Tracy. So hey, thank you for riding along, and hopefully that helped, someone. It just does take some time to get used to it. Some people are fine with it right out of the chute, and I was not one of those. But like I said, nobody really likes flying in it when it gets really bumpy. But if you have to, just kind of make the best of it. Slow the plane down, and punch on through it, and just keep the upside up. So again, thank you for watching, and hope to see you on the next one.
Come back to us again. Shall do. 91 Mike.